Hi, I'm Pastor Steve Talmage. Along with Pastor Annette Christofferson at Love of Christ Lutheran in Mesa, we try to provide a brief introduction to two of the Bible readings for the upcoming Sunday. We're going to look at the Old Testament reading, the first lesson for Sunday, October 12th, 2025. It's from 2 Kings, chapter 5, verses 1 to 3, and verses 7 to 15c. This is a linkage because we're dealing with leprosy, a linkage to our gospel reading for this Sunday. So, verse 1. Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Aram, was a great man and in high favor with his master, because by him the Lord had given victory to Aram. The man, though a mighty warrior, suffered from leprosy. So, the Bible writer makes sure that we understand this was a commander in a king's army of a neighbor of, a larger neighbor of Israel, and he had high favor with the king of that land, but like every mortal, you don't get to pick and choose if you get sick or not. And in this case, he suffers from leprosy. I have a little map on this video here so you can see where Aram is above Syria, and then Israel's a little farther south of that. Verses 2 to 3. Now the Arameans, on one of their raids, had taken a young girl captive from the land of Israel. This is ancient Near East. This is not even unusual in this day and age when you think of the children that have been taken from Ukraine into Russia. This is an age-old thing. You come and you defeat your enemy and you haul off whatever you want, including women and children. And so she becomes a servant to Naaman's wife. This is maybe a little parallel in some ways to an older Jewish story of Joseph becoming Potiphar's servant in his house. And here in verse 3, she said to her mistress, if only, those two words, if only my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. Well, who is that prophet? But it's Elisha. So, Naaman went in and told his Lord just what the girl from the land of Israel had said. Notice Naaman isn't a free agent to just go and follow. And the king of Aram said, go then, I'll send along a letter to the king of Israel. He went taking with him 10 talents of silver. That's equivalent of today, $3.8 million, 6,000 shekels of gold, the equivalent of $7.8 million. This is a lot of money that the king of Aram is willing to offer to this prophet that this servant girl invited her master, Naaman, to go and find healing. And then there are 10 sets of garments or clothing. He brought the letter to the king of Israel, which read, when this letter reaches you, know that I have sent to you my servant Naaman, that you may cure him of his leprosy. Now notice that phrase, that you may cure him of his leprosy. This is the king of Israel. This is not the prophet yet. And imagine him getting this letter with all these gifts and knowing that Naaman is a powerful warrior in this more powerful neighbor's army. And he has the responsibility to cure him, and he's never cured anybody of anything. So this is his response. Well, first, just a little context. Aram and Israel have a history of conflict and cooperation. Collaboration versus competition. So this is how the world works. Look at the treaties that get made over human history. Look at the former enemies coming together around a common enemy. So all that's at play here. But look at the crisis this creates. So here's the king of Israel. He reads the letter. He tore his clothes and said, am I God to give death or life that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Just look and see how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me. But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent a message to the king. Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come to me, that he may learn that there is a prophet in Israel. So Elisha kind of rescues the day. Thankfully, he overheard what that letter was. But the original response of the king was, this guy's looking to me to heal him of leprosy. Who am I to heal this guy? And if I don't heal him, what's going to happen to our country? 9 to 10. So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and halted at the entrance of Elisha's house. Contrast. We have a prophet, has a house. We have Naaman who comes with his entourage, his posse, and its horses and chariots, a sign of military might and strength. Remember, Naaman is a mighty warrior who just happens to have contracted the disease of leprosy. Elisha sent a messenger to him saying, that should be a clue to you that this might be a problem. Elisha sent a messenger to him. Go, wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean. Naaman is a person of position and power and influence. And he's already gone into this foreign country that is a country that has already been dominated by or overtaken at least parts of it, because his servant girl was a part of their raiding into Samaria. And here he's standing outside this prophet of the God of Israel, and the prophet doesn't come out, but some messenger comes. That's an insult. That is an insult to Naaman. But there is a message from the messenger. Go, wash in the Jordan 7 times. 7 in the Hebrew world is a completion time frame. God created in 7 days. And so 7 is that magic number. And then he says, your flesh shall be restored and you shall be clean. Verses 11 to 12. Unmet expectations. But Naaman became angry and went away, saying, I thought that for me he would surely come out and stand and call on the name of the Lord and his God, and would wave his hand over the spot and cure the leprosy. So Naaman comes with expectations. And how many times have we run into unmet expectations? We presume things. And when they don't happen, we get angry. Then verse 12. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? You have that arrogance, that sense of superiority, that the resources of my country are superior to those whom we have conquered. Could I not wash in them and be clean? So he's a little ticked off that Elisha just sends a messenger to tell him to go take a bath in their nearby river, rather than he could have sent a messenger to my home country and told me to go take a bath in those rivers by me. He turned and went away in a rage. How many times has our arrogance or our presumptions or our expectations gotten us into trouble and allowed anger to set in and cause us possibly to miss out on some amazing things that God might do for us and others. 13 to 14 though, Naaman has a change of heart, but his servants approached. Notice the people who are in the lowest level are carrying a whole lot of influence. We have the servant girl, we have Naaman's servants, we have a messenger from Elisha. But his servants approached and said to him, Father, if the prophet had commanded you to do something difficult, would you have not done it? How much more when all he said to you was, wash and be clean? This is a precarious approach by his servants. Naaman in his rage and his anger could have slit their throats, put them away, claiming they're disrespectful and disloyal. But verse 14, somehow, Naaman had a change of heart. So he went down and immersed himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. His flesh was restored like the flesh of a young boy, and he was clean. Wow. It's a hard path to get to what Naaman always wanted, was to get rid of his leprosy. But sometimes for us to get to a place of healing, we got to overcome our own ego, our own arrogance, our own stubbornness, our own resistance to following the basic direction that God is giving us. Verses 15 to 16. Then Naaman returned to the man of God, he and all his company. And he came and stood before him and said, Now I know that there's no God in all the earth except in Israel. Please accept a present from your servant. So Elisha had approached the king of Israel and said, Look, this is an opportunity to invite Naaman to come so he might confess and know that there's a prophet of God in our land. And that might create a shield of protection for this country if we do something good for a more powerful neighbor. Isn't this, when you look at the globe today and you look at the battles that are going on and the negotiations, there's always these deals being made by one country with another, a more powerful country with other countries, to make sure that a balance of power is found. But here we go. Naaman is grateful. He confesses there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. That's a powerful confession from a Gentile, a pagan. But then he wants to give a gift. And how many of us get stuck in these transactional relationships rather than simply receive the gift that God is giving us? Now, we don't know if the king of Israel took all that gold, all that silver. That's not in the story. But when it came to Elisha, the prophet of God, he said, As the Lord lives whom I serve, I will accept nothing. He urged him to accept. Naaman urged him to accept, but he refused. God's grace is and will always be free of charge. Take care. God bless.